Welcome, everybody, to a very special edition of the Heresy Accountability Buddies emergency break glass when shit actually happens. Question mark,
Emergency
maybe.
Heresy Podcast.
So, so everybody should know that we had a thing happen today on a Heresy Thursday, and I'm gonna go ahead and bring that up on the video feed right now so that everybody that is watching this can see. But we had a video drop along with a new web page, along with a Threads account and Instagram. Would that be fair for me to say for everybody?
Yeah, that'd be fair.
Okay. All right. So being very positive about this, the sky's not falling. It was a very interesting approach that GW took with this. I know. There's a whole entire joke with the British sense of humor, but it was very much that type of dry, sarcastic humor.
British humor. I think the important thing to kind of pull from the video, though, is Games Workshop is talking about the future being some kind of Heresy 3.0 or
2.5 or whatever.
yeah, or 2.5 or something. There's some kind of Heresy update coming.
Yeah,
Now, in
and I'm not and I'm not, John said we're playing the video. I'm not going to play the video. You can do it on your own. I'm not sure how litigious they're going to be over it with fair use. So I'm just avoiding that. What I have pulled up right now that everybody at home can see is the new website that he have that has the video, and you can see the URL right at the top of the screen. We have hot news.
Jack, you're not sharing your screen.
Well, no,
yeah, and
I have it screen recording.
okay.
Gotcha.
Can I share my screen because I've got some stuff pulled up?
Okay, give me a second. All right, go ahead. In case
So
you
what
can't
I've
tell at
got,
home, this is very put together last minute.
yeah. So what I've got pulled up is a few things. The first thing that was on the Hearsay website was a picture of a sprue, and if you look at the Tale of Painters, they did a sprue scan of all of the Emperor's Children stuff that's coming out, and it looks like this sprue matches up with the Flawless Blades that came out recently for the Emperor's Children. I thought that maybe it was possible that this wasn't true, but I went through and looked at all the articles and contacted a friend that just bought all the Emperor's Children box sets, and all of those sprues are marked 2025, like this quote unquote secret release. So it looks like that is true. This possibly is just someone they were trying out some different colored dyes or something like that in the machines, and this is how it came out. When you go and watch the video, there's a couple things that we can kind of disassemble from the video itself. So I'm going to get a little tinfoil hat, red string on a wall, and Alex Jones here. Any more metaphors I can come up with. So this is the office that's in the video. There's a couple things you can pull straight away. There's a meeting right here that says meeting with Anya on 24/6. And if you go by the goofy British dating system, that's going to be March 24th, or sorry, of June 24th. That's about the time that we usually get releases, is in the summer.
That last week of June, first week of July time period.
Well, that's also the end of their fiscal calendar, beginning of the next fiscal calendar. So,
Right,
exactly.
if we're going to get anything, be it a new edition or something, a new FAQ maybe, that would be the time frame for it.
The other thing that you can kind of pull out from this that's referenced in some of the rumors that we got is this hazard stripe paint. So a lot of the rumors kind of pointed to the fact that it was going to be Iron Warriors versus Salamanders, and you kind of saw that called out in the article that said, is this a Salamanders preview? So it could be the fact that we're getting that. Also, remember those decals that came out mid Heresy were Iron Warriors and Salamander centered. The other thing that was a little weird about that article is the capitalization of the word when they were talking about the different rules and abilities that are coming up in the units. So if I can pull up the Hearsay site?
It's the Horus Hearsay.
Look, I already have it pulled up on another screen, so.
Yeah, well. So if you look at the dice here, D18 legions, 2 theories on this, maybe the mechanic for choosing legion special rules, or some sort of legion capital supremacy. So obviously there's going to be some type of rule in the game called supremacy. Otherwise there would be no reason for capitalizing that.
I personally enjoy this is a totally 100% legit Warhammer website.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one. I think that's my favorite thing about this whole thing is that GW actually has done this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, when I first saw this morning, I was like one of the first people to post on it that I saw. That like when I went to it, I was like, well, this is kind of fake, you know. And then I saw all the copyright stuff down at the bottom, and when you first log into the page, you have to select all the stupid I accept that you have cookies and all that stuff from like an official legit website. So like from GW. So yeah, I was a little taken back at the start when I first saw this morning.
Yeah, the other thing that's a little weird in the video is there's a camera change mid-video, and they swap, and you can see Thousand Suns here in the background.
Yep. Like a Zyphan and
Leviathan. Yeah, there's some rhinos down here. The zoom changes a bit. This is the only real post-it note that I couldn't read, even when I blew it up to 4K. So if anyone can read, no, that was that's this one right here.
Oh, okay.
So the one that I can't read is right here behind her head.
Can you move your head back a little bit from the mic? You're starting to fuzz out.
Yeah, so the one I can't read is right here behind her head. So when the direction changes, it's the one that's right here on the far right of the screen. But that's also a date.
Yeah, it looks like the bottom part of it is some sort of date.
If we want to put on our conspiracy hats even more, I think it has to do with the events that are coming up. GW likes to reveal things at every event that comes up, and we are 2 weeks away from the Dallas Open. These 4 events, Dallas, Edmonton, Tacoma, and Atlanta, are the first time that GW has run official Heresy events in 2.0 in the US.
I'd also seen some stuff saying stuff was going to get released at WarCon as well, which I think is this weekend.
Yeah, so I've heard WarCon, and I've also heard Warhammer Opens will have some reveals.
It makes sense for them to announce their stuff at their events, not Nova, not Adepticon. As much as I like that, just from a controlling the narrative and marketing control, them doing it at their own events makes a lot of sense.
It also makes sense since they announced nothing Heresy related at Adepticon this year.
Yeah,
correct.
Yep, not even a teaser of a model or anything.
Yeah.
So we are a week and a half away from the Dallas Open, or Warhammer Open Dallas, or whatever you want to call it, and I've got tickets for that. So we will cover that weekend to see if anything came out.
Yeah.
So if I hear anything else while I'm there, or I can snap any pictures, I will definitely have it for the podcast. But I think we're leading towards. It's odd how these events just popped up at the beginning of the year, and now we're getting a new event edition. I think it's definitely aligned.
And normally, if you go by past GW trends, typically they have 3 big release windows a year. The biggest release window is like the September, October before Christmas window, which they usually release either a major codex like Codex Space Marines or entire new edition. The second big release window is this coming window in the end of June, July, where it's the end of their fiscal year, beginning of a new fiscal year. And then the last big window they usually have is like in January, like end of December, January. It's after the Christmas rush, basically. So
you can see here that the logo for Dallas is a Warlord, which is Heresy related.
Yep.
Edmonton is more Age of Sigmar, and the Tacoma is the Dark Eldar. So yeah, it would not surprise me if this is going to be more Heresy related event.
Like a question that I have that I haven't had time to look up because of how crazy my days has been is, did they do an edition update for AOS or 40K last year?
Yes, AOS.
And then the year before that was 40K.
Yeah, it was 10.
Yeah.
So and that's the 3 pillars of Games Workshop according to their Facebook, or not Facebook, their website.
So
Yep.
yeah, if a lot of people don't know, obviously the biggest one is 40K,
Mhm.
but like Heresy, from some indications from their fiscals and stuff, it actually has passed Age of Sigmar. So Heresy makes more money for them than Age of Sigmar does. But those are the
If
three
you want
big.
if you want to get even more tinfoil hat about it, they have already updated or put out a new edition for a game system this year. The Lord of the Rings Middle Earth strategy battle game's gotten a new edition this year already.
Kill Teams
Well,
did too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Well, from everything that they said that they're going whole hog on 40K, Age of Sigmar, and the Horus Heresy. So
Yep.
what I was going to bring up is, I think that we as a community might be looking at a 3-year cycle for editions.
That's
It makes sense to me at this point. I mean, we've had this one 2.0 for, at this point, almost 3 years, which kind of coincides with us broadcasting.
That 6/24 date will put it at about 3 years because it came out Father's Day 3 years ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like from a financial decision, once you start having big numbers in a certain quarter every single year, you have to repeat that every single year.
keep doing it.
Q3 for where I work at, we did one year a 5-piece chicken tender promotion. This is really super. I promise this makes sense, but because of the average ticket price of that, it drove up sales. So now every single year we have to have some type of big chicken promotion in that same quarter to combat year-over-year sales without doing something completely crazy to try to combat that. GW, this from an outside perspective, they started releasing these editions in their into their fiscal year, beginning of their fiscal year, in that time frame every single year, driving sales. So now they have to probably release a new edition of something at this time frame every single year. I know that we just talked about, was it Age of Middle Earth, that being released.
Yeah.
I'm they have that license. It's been a good license from everything I've ever heard about it, but it's not gonna drive people to the store.
It's not a huge sales driver.
Yeah, it's not gonna pull people
It
in
is
like
in
40K.
other
It's not gonna
countries
pull people in
than
like
this one.
AOS. It's not gonna pull people in like Heresy. So I think the first thing, the fact that they're spending the money on a new release. Oh, first off, spending the money on all of this is a very good thing, because this stuff, like, why, yes, they can do a lot of this in house, they're still having to put money behind it. So that's a very good sign for the health of the game system.
Hey, I just want to tell you this, Jack. I don't think that that's outside looking in. I think you very much have a very solid understanding of how that business operates at that level because of what you do for a living. And it's something that I point out to people all the time, and people just kind of take it for granted. Games Workshop is a very large, publicly traded company nowadays. It has been since halfway through 5th edition, and they will behave in such a manner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They have trends that they will stick to, and they are predictable to a large degree.
And that's something else that GW has done, is they try to drive little bitty smaller drops or releases to kind of tease things coming out, which kind of jives with the recent accidental, air quotes, sending out of multiple Laterra Sarens that they've done to people.
Yep.
Um,
That was
I
the
mean,
that was another thing this week.
if you look at eBay, you can find a couple of them on there. At least there were a couple of them on there the last I looked.
Yeah.
Um,
Now, this
so trying to drive exclusivity and eyes, and then doing this just kind of draws more attention,
Mhm.
and it makes sense.
Yeah, and then this
Their
is the
marketing
closest,
strategy is predictable.
and this is the closest that I am going to be to negative about this. I felt like during second edition, the box sets and stuff, why it didn't go to bad people. I think their energies would have been better spent sending it to more Heresy Central groups. I am not advocating because I know we're never going to get anything from Games Workshop. But I think if they want this type of marketing to fit, it need this whatever's coming out box set needs to go to Heresy Central groups, just not general
Yeah.
It
seems
like
review groups.
some in the past they have sent stuff out to like kind of really like
They're
it's
good
more
with the Necromunda ones. Like the Necromunda podcast will usually get the box set and the books or whatever's coming out so that they can review it and have the show out for the release. But the Heresy stuff seems to be whoever seems to be making content gets a Heresy box. And you're just like, you could have targeted that better.
had the biggest number pretty
So-
much or social media presence they were
I mean,
sending.
this was something Jack and I spoke about at Adepticon with a couple people. It was Heresy in a way is a niche of a niche of a niche. And I don't think a lot of attention is paid to the Heresy content creators out there by GW. And this is not a knock against them because they're not as loud as other ones who talk about 40K or talk about Age of Sigmar.
Right.
I gotta
And
interrupt.
go ahead,
I
Brian.
think there is a degree of Games Workshop understands that there is a degree of hobby rogueness to Heresy, and there always has been because of the crew that game drew in when Forge World first started producing it. It was all about the hobbying, and they would pull things from all over, and it's just like a rogue free state. And I'm not sure how much they like that out of content creators. Not to be negative or anything. I'm just
No,
they
like-
like people that
Yeah.
are
Yeah, but
paying
yeah.
Mike-
for them.
I've come to realize that my Cobra army is never going to be on a GW website, but it's the same thing that you're saying is, the fact that we've kind of got to realize that Heresy is popular, but you have to balance that with the fact that a lot of us are either 3D printing or going outside of GW to get parts.
Yeah, one of the other things I looking at the the website, like I kind of get where the sprue came from. Like I understand it's not a new sprue, it's recycled artwork, which I get. That's easy to throw in there and colorize, without giving too much, because I'm sure they out as cheeky as this is, they want to play it close to the thing. I think the other examples that we got of it being green, I think the color is more important than the sprue. I think
Probably.
I think the sprue, the what's on the sprue doesn't matter. The coloring is the clue.
The other thing was that they said it was push fit too, which that
I don't
would be a lower price point, the entry price point too.
they could make it out of popsicle sticks.
I know that. You got to look at it this way. So
some people are still going to be butthurt about push fit because they want everything perfect.
Right.
I don't really think the push fit thing is anything. I think that's a red herring.
I don't. If you look at the way that they changed Mark 6 versus the other way that the minis were before, they're definitely moving towards a more uniform assembly line.
I mean, that makes sense for them. It's going to be scaling down and streamlining operations, so it'll streamline costs. So they'll actually have bigger profits on splash releases. So it makes sense. But I
It also makes it easier for entry. It makes it a lot easier for people to come into the game with
which
super fast.
we desperately need, as
We do.
looking at all the gray hair that's on this call right now. Or no,
Gray hair.
Speak for yourself, bald man.
But I think
can't
that I
see
think
mine. They
the
blend
what
in.
we pull from this is the green for the salamanders, and then a oh god, not contemptor, dreadnought,
Leviathan.
Leviathan
So
dreadnought foot. Like
that's not a Leviathan foot.
what
It's
is it then?
I don't know. So there's a guy who posted it to Instagram, and I'm trying to find it now. They put a picture up of that compared to a Leviathan foot, and a Leviathan foot is slightly off from that.
It doesn't
Yep.
look. Yeah, I was gonna say it doesn't look like a normal Leviathan foot to me. I mean, it is chunky.
Some of the rumors
You
were
do
that
look
there was
right.
a new type of dreadnought and Saturnine Terminators along with the rapiers.
Yeah,
And that would fit with the fact that we just got rapiers for our preview article week before last.
Yep,
tarantulas, not or the
tarantulas. Yeah,
rapiers are the tank the little tank tread batteries. The sentry turret looking thing.
yeah.
You're essentially
Yeah, no,
thing.
So one of the big rumors that John Rust referenced lately, and normally, like we said, we don't talk about rumors all the time. We try to avoid it because it's nothing that's confirmed. But the rumors I've been reading, and I think they're the same ones John's been reading, is Saturnine Terminators of a type unknown, and a bigger kind of Saturnine dread. So I don't know what kind of dread they're talking about. I've been around long enough that I've seen most of the older style models, or owned most of the older style models at one point or another. And I know where the Contemptor comes from. I know where the Dorito comes from. I know where the Leviathan comes from. I don't remember there ever being a larger version dread at all.
There was in the space assault board game. There was the forearm dread that they kind of turned into the Dorito, but you could say that redesigning it could be another type of dread because it was for different weapons.
Yeah, it's possible. But I'll be honest, I never even saw one of those dreads in person. So
yeah,
I
have
slipped my mind.
The stuff that's alluded to during the time of humanity before everything went to crap and the Dark Age, when
Tech Heresy stuff?
humanity had mastered AI.
Yeah, like the AI and Tech Heresy stuff.
They had all sorts of strange, and they've only
They did.
made very broad strokes to naturally just kind of keep themselves open on what they can do and put out there and slow drip in. So I mean, it could be something from out of there.
The Dark Angels
Especially
opened up the vault, baby.
Especially if you're talking Saturnine, which that's not anything that gets me going. I've never understood the obsession, but
I
I
think
see
it'd be
Mark
cool.
V or we riot.
I just want Mark II.
I really want to see Mark V.
I really want to see Mark V.
Well, any of the marks. How about any of the marks that haven't been released? But like Mark II and Mark V would probably be on a lot of people.
Or re-released 4 in the new scale would be cool too. Pretty much any infantry would be good.
I'd be happy with pretty much anything as long as it includes plastic breachers.
Well, I mean, they're gonna have to release some infantry. It ain't gonna all just be Terminators and.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the point.
Yeah,
the release window did just say tanks, so we know we're getting tanks.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, Duncan, but I think we'll get a plastic Thunderhawk before we get plastic breachers.
Oh, we already have one. It's an Imperial scale. So there.
We don't need one.
So,
but you had
we've kind of talked about it.
Focus on Duncan.
Yeah. Other than what we've been teased, what are we all wanting out of this box? So, assuming we're gonna get another Age of Darkness style box, what are we all wanting on it?
I know. I said to carry on, but I have a question.
Absolutely.
The Salamander's special dreadnought character, Inflamius. I don't know his name off the top of my head.
Heresy and Dracos.
There we go.
Draco.
Does he have a model still, or did his model get
It was a Forge World model, so it probably doesn't exist.
It got squatted.
It got squatted.
Maybe
Yeah.
maybe
They're
that's
fixing
what
the
that
whole-
is.
It could very well be something like a character contemptor.
But I'm sorry.
Yeah,
that
and
just came to
maybe
mind.
they made it, and then maybe they make it so that you can use it for a generic contemptor as well.
Yeah.
There are quite a few other character contemptors that have never had models.
Raynor, what's his name from the Emperor's Children? Would be the
Raynor. Yeah, and the Ultramarine. And that was the other thing that was on one of those computer monitors. One of those sticky notes said drops or drop site or something like that. So maybe.
Well, I also had
But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail. What your question was? What are you looking forward to in the box, like rules wise or model wise?
Ignore rules wise, because rules wise, we're all absolutely at a loss at this point. Some people say 2.5 rules, some people say 3.0 rules. So there's really no way to know. I personally lean to more of a 2.5 than a full 3.0 revamp. But what are you all wanting or hoping that the box, assuming similar size to the Age of Darkness box, is going to contain?
For me, it's not what it contains. It's the price to entry.
Yep.
Not getting political, but stuff is probably going to start costing more if we want people to get into this game system. New people, it has to be a good price to get them in the game. Anything else is gravy. Like, so long as if they keep the box set the exact same, or they go back to not Fall of Reach, that Halo, Jesus.
Battle for McCrag. That was
Black
a good
Reach.
box. Black Reach was a good one.
Reach, whatever. And they take out the Spartan. Having a good price to entry that includes the rule book. It doesn't need to be the full fat rule book like we have now. If we could go back to 5th edition and get the little mini, I wouldn't want that now because I couldn't read it. But a small rule book that is just the rules. You don't need the fluff. A good cost of entry with enough stuff to get you started. It doesn't have to have a Spartan. Put a Rhino in for all I care. It has
keep it
to
under
be,
$200.
Was that? It has to be under $200. It has to be, in my opinion. It has to be a 150 to get people in this game.
So I mean, the battle forces have been 220-ish, right? 215, 220-ish. And then when the 2.0 box originally came out, was it 260?
It was when the 2.0 box originally came out, it was 269.
Yeah. And then it's progressively going to 350 now.
No, it was originally MSRP'd at $299.99 here in the US. The normal deal that most places would give you was that $269.99.
Okay.
Yeah. So to answer your question,
it's now 350, correct?
Well, right now it's not available at all. It's gone entirely out of stock on GW's website.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but to answer your question, Duncan, that's what I want out in this box. The ability to get.
You want a price point under $200
that will get
in a
people
basic
in this game.
slimline rulebooks.
Because this box set is not pointed towards anybody in this chat, or at least shouldn't be pointed at anybody in this chat.
People here may get a copy each, but yeah, I get what you're saying there.
Yeah, it's $350 now on their website.
If you
is it showing in stock?
Oh, it's out of stock.
If you remember on the Calth release, so the Mark IVs and the Terminators were actually pretty involved kits. Okay,
Yep.
The HQ, the Commander, and then the Contemptor, they really cut back on the tooling. They were very easy. I'm not gonna say easy to build, but pretty easy to put together.
They were simple models.
Simple models.
They were monopose.
Right. So that, I mean, the other two sets were the Terminators were still, I mean, it's a really good kit, and so is the Mark IVs. They're just out of scale now. So you may see something like that where you have the whatever Mark 2, 5, 4, whatever. They may be pretty detailed along with the Saturnine, okay, and then this Dread or whatever else, the Tarantulas may be 3-part models or minimal part models that are not to save on cost or tooling.
So I'm gonna go a little bit out of the course here, and I'm gonna guess this and base this primarily on GW's pricing they've been doing for a while. I'm going to guess we're looking at another $299 price-ish box right now. Just because everything seems to cost more from GW. Everything seems to cost more everywhere. And with the way that they've kind of made it a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and this being, in essence, a tier 3 more complicated system, I would say it's more than likely going to be right around the $300 price point again.
All right.
And
can we shelve the price point thing and go back to your original thing?
Well, that's where I was going with this, because this is kind of the point. If we're looking at something like that, I'd say they're probably going to do something that's at least the same amount of stuff, content-wise, as the or the Age of Darkness box. So we're looking at ballpark 40-ish Marines of whatever marks. While I'd like to see all one mark, or I'd actually like to see 2 different marks to delineate 2 different sides that you could play in one actual box. I think this being the size of a two-person starter in some ways kind of makes sense. So maybe right around 40 Marines, a dread of some kind. If this is a new dread, maybe that. If they are including 3 to 5 Saturnine Terminators, I think that'd be cool. I just don't know, and obviously 1 or 2 characters for the total force, but I don't know what they would do to basically splash release that Spartan out of the way, because I don't really see them fitting a Spartan in the same box if they're going to do all new release miniatures in said box.
What they could do, and this is just totally out of left field, if you look at what John was pointing out in the display case behind them, which would fit with the
a flyer,
the tarantulas, you could have a flyer, very well being a Xiphon, which I don't even think you can get anymore, like from GW Forge World. That, and it also looked like on the lower tier of miniatures that looked like there was a Rhino, or at least a Rhino chassis of some sort.
Yeah, if they did push fit rhinos, that would make it a lot easier for people to do things like Whirlwind, Predators, all the other things that are Rhino chassis. If they simplified that kit even more for starter sets.
I'm just curious if they would do that, since the actual Heresy Rhino is still a new-ish kit. It's less than 3 years old.
I wouldn't say that they're going to do a push fit Rhino. I would say they just, because like the Spartan in the current box, or
it's the basic,
and the Land Raider, and they're just straight up the ones you would get out of a normal box, and that's why they're
on one thing.
Those are very good deals.
On the website, the Xiphon and the Fire Raptor is no longer available. I don't know how long that's been.
Fire Raptor hasn't been around for a while, but the Xiphon is kind of a smaller size kit that hasn't been around. They've kind of neglected flyers for a long time. But why would you put AA missile tarantulas in a box set?
I will say, as far as a plastic mode, the Xiphon would be a simple plastic mode to do.
It is. Even the resin kit, which I've built several of, it's basically the center tube, the cockpit, and the wings, and the engine's on the wing, and that's it. I mean, and most of the rest of it's just detail. It's actually a very simple kit.
Yep.
I could actually see the flyer being a big seller thing for standing out compared to other stuff previously, and it's currently sitting there on the market. And them doing that with the Xiphon really kind of does make sense, as John mentioned, them having it in that box for display.
To be honest with you, the Xiphon, just thinking about how they tool most of the kits, sprue wise, the Xiphon, I bet you they could probably get down to 2 sprues.
I was just thinking the other thing you could do is, if you're going to keep the tarantula turrets, you could make it wouldn't surprise me if that fits on the existing Rhino top mount.
Maybe.
And so now you've got an AA Rhino, now you've got an AA Whirlwind to fight the Xiphon.
That's actually something kind of interesting.
Yeah. That's kind of out of the field of the rumors that we were hearing. The rumors we were hearing were more slowly along the lines of some type of breaching with Terminators and rapiers and things like that. But if they were going for a more open battlefield type thing, I could see them doing that. That way, you've got the ability of saying, okay, well, one side gets the Xiphon, the other side can either be defensive with the emplacements, or it can be movable with the anti-air whirlwind.
Yeah, there's been so many different rumors of what this is or is not going to be that it's just hard to know or even think. But to me, the larger size box makes the most sense from
Yep.
a drag people in, because then it's, hey, it's you and your buddy and you're splitting the box.
It's enough for two. But usually when they do that, it's somewhat I guess you could say, balanced. Like, if they gave you a flyer, they would give you something to counteract the flyer on the other side. So, like, that's kind of, and we don't know if the tarantulas are in this box. It's just, I'm assuming that with how they've released stuff recently that they are, because it kind of seems oddball for them just to put those out by themselves.
Agreed.
Let
Honestly,
me get that article pulled back up. Did they have a picture of the box in the tarantula article?
I don't recall. I think they may have a picture of the art, and that was about it.
I think
Yeah.
they mentioned it was 2 per box, if
Yeah.
there was anything.
Well, it's probably two on a sprue, like the
Yeah.
smaller sprue is what it probably is. To be honest with you, like like a rhino or predator size sprue opposed to the Spartan size sprue, which is basically 2 sprues per each level. But like, yeah, they usually have something. So if you had the Terminators, you're gonna have a Dread, to go with counteract the Terminators, and then you basically get 40 guys, and you'd split them up.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah, and it's got the same mount that you're used to for the Predator or for the Whirlwinds and things like that on the tarantula.
I don't know.
And there is no picture of a box, so I would not. It's a possibility.
Who knows?
It's totally out in left field, but I mean, like the rumors we've been hearing for the better part of a year and a half, would you not say, have been a
At least.
mark, be it either 2 or 5, okay? It kind of goes back and forth, and that of that mark, there would be like a breacher add-on for them, Saturnine Terminators, and a Dread. That's pretty much all we've heard. But like nothing official, but there's a lot of people have been saying the same thing for a long, long period of time.
It wouldn't
But-
surprise me if they do this, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do something also kind of out of left field.
Well, I was getting ready to bring up the price points for 40K. So 40K has okay. Well,
That's kind of where I was going with the whole Emperor's Children box versus the Age of Darkness box bit I was talking about before.
Go for it.
Well, I mean, the Emperor's Children box is what, $2.99, or it was $2.99.
Yep.
And that's a single person army in essence.
With book and cards, yeah.
Yeah. So if you get a book and you get all that, that seems to be the kind of price point I would expect GW to stick around this point. Do I want them to be there? No, I want them to be like $200, $199, $150, whatever. But $300 seems to be about where I would expect them to be this day and age.
I mean, most of the combat patrols, which is usually like a larger squad and a couple elites and an HQ for 40K, they're 168, 170 bucks. And then like the last army box for 30K was what, 30 Marines, command squad upgrade, Rodeo, or not command squad, support squad upgrade, the Rodeo, and then a Land Raider. Does that sound correct?
Yeah, I've got 2 of them sitting over there.
And they're what, 215, 230-ish?
I think they were, yeah.
Yeah, something around that. So,
but
go ahead.
To take this simple chapter and start winding it down, because it is a school night and Daddy needs his beauty sleep. New edition of
You haven't gotten any ever.
Shut up. New edition of Heresy. A lot of possibilities. Don't let negative people bring you down. This is a good thing. I can understand how it can be frustrating for some. If you're Patreon, you just heard the army that we're doing for Adepticon. That's officially on hold until we figure out what's going on with the new edition, because it's a very unique setup that rules may change, and that's okay. That is okay. Rules changing are okay. Models that you once had that may not necessarily work anymore. Why frustrating? John, I'm looking at you. It's okay. The game needs to keep continuing to grow so it's healthy and we continue to get new people in and we continue to make great, awesome friends and go to great, awesome events to hang out with those great, awesome friends and drink great, awesome bourbon. It may feel like the sky is on fire. It's not. Everything's okay. Be
I
okay
didn't
with
get
the
mad
3-year
at this release.
cycle. I see that
Or at least-
happening.
At least wait till it's out, then you get your
Yeah.
pitchforks.
Keep calm and Heresy on.
Yeah.
Heresy.
So, all right. Anybody has any other one-liners?
No, but June and July are going to be an interesting months. Let's just put it that way.
I got one more thing to share, Jack, because since it's going to be at least an official release, we might as well drop our info for our giveaways.
Yeah, especially if this goes up to YouTube tonight and has a clickbait header like Horus Hearsay or Hearsay or whatever the hell.
So right now we're running the giveaways of Greg's airbrush set and an an Iron Hands army. So obviously, y'all have been listening to the other episodes of 225 on. So we've been giving away keywords in every one of those to make sure y'all listen in. All you gotta do is drop those in our contest channel on the Discord or in the YouTube videos themselves. And we'll enter you into the contest. And if you happen to be a patron when we do the drawing, you'll also get an extra entry into the drawings.
And John, what are the keywords we're using?
Keshig for the Iron Hands and Imperialis for the airbrush.
You heard it here, folks.
All right. Well, with that news, this is going to be at least for the first several days not Patreon, a YouTube exclusive. So tell your friends, call your wife, have her look at Duncan's sexy beard, and still too will want to build an Emperor's Children army. Oh wait, I gotta blow up on you so we can see you doing that. Stroke it. Oh yeah, stroke it for daddy. Oh yeah. All right. I've been Jack, with John, Duncan, Jamie, and Bri before he had to go not get beat up by his wife. Thank you very much for joining us on this very special emergency edition of
The Heresy Accountability Podcast.
Well, it was New Heresy for the second edition. So, 3.
Emergency Heresy meme review.
I feel
Start
like
doing Heresy meme review episodes now.
I feel
No,
like
God, no.
it's
Heresy meme review.
Heresy Watch 2025.
We got to come up with like a hurricane name for it.
All right, y'all be good. Thank y'all.
Hurricane Hearsay.
Thanks, everybody.